team that finished second in this division last year, which is still shocking, the Cleveland Browns. And I asked the question, can they recreate the magic of last year, Casino? And the magic of last year was they finished 11-6 on the arm of not Deshaun Watson, but the reemergence of Joe Flacco, who is no longer with the Browns. They went 11-6, and then they got their dick kicked in the wild card. 45-14 by the Texans is how much they lost by, or what they lost to, 45-14. They finished last season with number 1 in total defense, number 1 against the pass, 11th against the run. Total offense, they were 16th in the league in total offense, 19th in passing, 12th in the run. Their over-under going into this season is 8.5. Both you and I picked under. However, they are bolstering the 4th highest rated offensive line going into this season. So,
and that does mean a lot, but I mean, who's behind center again?
Let me see. It is Masaji McGee, aka.
Oh, that's right. Why am I totally
Deshaun
blanked.
Watson.
Dude, I totally blanked on that.
I thought you were setting me up for a joke.
No, I honestly, my mind just went to split. I'm sorry. I'm watching my son play with the drapes. I want to make sure he doesn't pull those down. I'm just constantly just on watch here.
Yeah. You sound like the masseuse when Deshaun Watson walks into your building. Constantly on watch. But Deshaun Watson, the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. So to ask the question, can they recreate the magic of last year? You have to ask the second question, which is, does Deshaun Watson even want to play quarterback?
We've talked about this on previous episodes. I think he just wants to be out of the eye of the sports media, just eye of the public. And you know what? It's working because I forgot that he was even playing football for this team. So
he's halfway there.
He's crushing it. Well done. Great job. I mean, phenomenal.
In their offseason, they did sign 2 backup quarterbacks because they needed to. Joe Flacco left town. They signed Tyler Huntley, once Pro Bowl quarterback from the Ravens.
That's and so
then
silly.
Jameis Winston as the backup quarterback. I'll tell you what.
Mr. 30 for 30?
The second Jameis Winston starts for the Browns and Deshaun Watson is out this season, I will be a Browns fan. I cannot get enough of Jameis Winston. I love Jameis Winston.
Dude, Mr. 30 for 30.
I don't think there is a quarterback who's more entertaining, but just has the it factor when it comes to being entertaining than Jameis Winston. I like all of his mic'd up moments, all his press conferences when he's on the field. I enjoy Jameis Winston, and I want him to be the Browns starting quarterback so I can start rooting for the Browns again.
I just love that I can't believe that. I mean, he's Mr. 30 for 30. That season he threw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. It's just the most mind-boggling thing ever.
That is a very fun stat. In 20 years, when somebody's like, who threw 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, you're first going to be like, somebody threw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, and then it's
in a single season?
Yeah, and then it's going to be just a fun story to tell. But as far as this Browns team goes, they're bringing back their head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator. All have been there for minimum 4 years. So they got a rock-solid foundation, and that was a hell of a coaching job last year.
Oh, yeah.
Losing their overpaid starting quarterback and then still going 11-6 is mind-boggling. But in the offseason, I said they signed 2 quarterbacks. They re-signed Jadarius Smith, their defensive end, brought in Jordan Hicks and Devin Bush as 2 linebackers I really liked that I wish the Eagles would have signed. They re-signed Hurst, the second at defensive tackle, brought in 2 running backs in Deontay Foreman and Nyheim Hines to back up Chubb. They also brought in 2 cornerbacks, a safety, a tight end, a wide receiver, a defensive tackle, offensive guard, and McLeod, the safety. So they did bring a lot of depth to this team, especially along the offensive line and defense to bolster. I mean, again, the number 1 ranked defense. They brought in 2 linebackers. I really like Casino. They have Myles Garrett, who is, I mean, without, now that Judon went to the Falcons and then Aaron Donald retired, I mean, Myles Garrett with Aaron Donald retiring has to be the best defensive lineman in the league, right? I mean, it's either him,
You're a good point.
Crosby. It's like he's in a very short list of defensive, player of the year contenders.
Yeah.
But
So obviously, no. So I thought we were about to move on to the next.
Well, just what does this Browns team look like, Casino? Do you think they are a playoff team again? You think they're better?
I mean,
you think they're worse?
What's the news on Nick Chubb? Is he gonna? Apparently, there's talks about him missing the start of this season, the first start of the season again. So I mean, when he's in, and you talked about it, they still have a really good offensive line that he can do some damage. Obviously, he can do some damage, but what's going to be the status of Nick Chubb going in, and does Deshaun Watson trust him? And I don't know, man. I just don't think that. I mean, coming off of his injury last year and still not being 100% this year, you kind of almost have to write him off until proven. So, I mean, that's one of my big reasons of why I have this team going under. That, and also because Deshaun Watson is starting and he's going to lose him like 5 games to coming out the gate. So, until Jameis Winston gets in there and throws another 20 for 20 there, to end the season. Oh, hi, buddy.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough for me to really get behind this Browns team.
So as of this looks like 5 days ago, it appears that Nick Chubb is rehabbing and is still planning to be back for the first game of the season. Will he be? I don't know, but I'm assuming.
Yeah, there's talks that he might miss some of the start of the season. So, I mean, still you're rehabbing, and they're saying that probably just to also be like, trick the opponents.
Yeah. But it does appear that he will at least be back this season, so that's good. They're a completely different game when arguably and obviously the best running back in the league is on the team. So they didn't do much in the draft. They only had a 2nd-round pick. They got
I would have won my fantasy league last year if I had him.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm not going to have a fantasy team this year. I'm not doing fantasy.
Oh shit! We're not going to have Casino's fantasy corner.
Yeah, the team that the people I normally do it with, they decided not to redo it. So I'm like, all right. And I had offered to do it on another, like, one of my regulars at my job said that I could join their league, and I'm like, So I asked a whole bunch of questions about like how they're going to run it and what's going to go on with it, and they don't know football. I'll just say that. They had no idea what I was talking about when I was asking all the questions.
I mean,
like I literally was just as simple as like, is it a PPR league? And are we doing? What's the line? How many bench players? Is it an OP league? Like, so how are things working here? Is it a snake draft, auction draft? Yeah, I'm good. I'm not. I could probably win the league, but I'm not going to.
Maybe we do an Only Sports Podcast fantasy football league. Maybe
where we get our wives in it. I would love to.
Maybe we'll talk about that.
We tried this before. We tried to get our friends and our wives to do it, and nobody plays. Like, they don't set their lineup and anything. It's pretty much just you and me at the end, and one of us wins.
Which, honestly, for the podcast would probably be good. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Next
we're going up against the best fantasy football players or owners in the world, just so you know. We're going to win.
Exactly.